Microsoft gets the first question. What high-level programming language was developed for the U.S. Department of Defense? Is it A, ADA, B, C++, C, Smalltalk, or D, Forth?
A, ADA.
That is correct.
Question number 2, over to INS. What is the noise that occurs adjacent to the connectors at either end of a network cable? Is it A, resistance, B, spikes, C, amperage, or D, crosstalk?
D, crosstalk.
That is correct.
Question number 3, back over to Microsoft. A group of related bytes stored on a magnetic tape is known as a or an record, label, bit, or marker.
A, record.
Correct.
Question number 4, back over to INS. This data compression technique is commonly used with image and sound files because the methods used eliminate part of the data to create smaller files. Though information from the original image is missing, the difference between the decompressed and original file are difficult to notice. Is it A, lossless compression, B, redundant compression, C, recursive imploding, or D, lossy compression?
D, lossy compression.
That is correct.
Right. Question number 5, back over to Microsoft. Which of the following best describes the techniques used to produce text in different printers? Is it A, toner cartridge, B, operator, C, outline fonts, or D, font mechanism?
D, font mechanisms.
That is correct.
Good. Question number 6, back over to INS. What type of port has the bits of information stream in one after another along a single path? Is it A, parallel, B, serial, C, mouse, or D, game?
B, serial.
Correct.
Question number 7, back over to Microsoft. What term describes the way that a computer is designed to handle data and perform calculations? Is it A, clock rate, B, expansion capability, C, computer architecture, or D, interleave?
Okay. C, computer architecture.
That is correct.
Question number 8, back over to INS. In its simplest form, a computer has 2 parts. What are they? Is it A, memory and output, B, CPU and memory, C, input and CPU, or D, input and output?
B, CPU and memory.
Correct.
Question number 9, back over to Microsoft. The bus architecture, EISA, stands for A, expanded industrial software applications, B, engineered input with statistical analysis, C, extended industry standard architecture, or D, extended interface for Microsoft or for software applications.
C, extended industry standard architecture.
Correct.
Question number 10, and the final question in this round. What part of the 3.5-inch disc is engaged by the disk drive's mechanism in order to rotate the disk? Is it A, hub, B, disc, C, liner, or D, lifter?
A, hub.
That is correct.
Excellent round. Very good round. All righty. It's time for our sudden death round. It's tails. All right. Microsoft, you get the first question. Of the following video types, which is 16-bit color video, is it A, XGA, B, CGA, C, EGA, or D, VGA?
A, XGA.
Correct.
Question number 2, over to INS. Of the following hard disk types, which has the fastest transfer rate? Is it A, SCSI, B, ESCI, C, ESDI, C, ST506, or D, MFM?
It's A, SCSI.
Correct.
Okay. Question number 3, back over to Microsoft. A programming language, meaning list processor. It was developed in 1958. Is it A, BASIC, B, LIPS, C, ADA, or D, C?
B, Lisp.
Correct.
Question number 4, back over to INS. In RS-232 serial interfaces, it is the handshake mechanism used to stop the computer from sending data when the buffer is full of, or turns it on again when the buffer empties. Is it A, null modem, B, flow control, C, baud rate, or D, DTE, DCE converters?
B, flow control.
Correct.
Question number 5, back over to Microsoft. Which of the following microprocessor is not a RISC design? Is it A, PowerPC, B, Pentium, C, Sun Spark, or D, Spark, or D, Alpha?
D, Alpha.
That's incorrect.
INS, you have 10 seconds.
C, SunSpark.
That's incorrect.
Thank you.
Okay. You do next question? Huh? Do the next question? Okay. All right. INS, question number 6 goes to you. RGB, CMYK, and HSV are common ways to represent A, sound, B, color, C, motion, or D, binary data.
D, binary data.
That's incorrect.
Okay. Microsoft, 15 seconds.
B, color.
That is correct.
All right.
Our winners from our initial round, we want to recognize our sponsor team and the team of Holland and Knight. Nielsen Media.
All right.
And the team from Suncoast Schools Federal Credit Union. So the team from HCC, Crop. Team from Tampa Bay Community Network. The coach. Our next sponsor and team, the team from St. Petersburg Times. And our last team in the quarterfinal, Team City. Now for our semifinal winner, Acuity Solutions. Flash drive. 3 packages of software. Okay, final 3. In third place, and this is the winner of the consolation round, Numara Software. And they're receiving the flash drives and PSP. Our second place winner, runner-up, Interface Network Systems, our team from Pinellas. And finally, I'd like to introduce the winners of Tech Bowl 2007, the team from Microsoft. Let me get out of the way. Winners of brand new laptop computers.
All right, one more time. I mean, weren't these kids wonderful today? Woo! Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I really congratulate you all for being winners. And, you know, the sportsmanship you guys showed, your determination. We almost ran out of tiebreaker questions because you guys have studied so hard. So we really do appreciate that. And also, you know, we got a couple special gifts we want to give because, you know, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the help of our sponsors, of course. You know, and this year we had 3 Gigabyte sponsors. That was Suncoast Schools Federal Credit Union, who was last year's winner and now a Gigabyte sponsor. We thank them. We also had Nielsen Media that took a chance on us this year, and we thank them for being a Gigabyte sponsor. And, oh God, I forgot me and my names. And the other Gigabyte sponsor, oh gosh, who was that? City. That was right. I'm sorry. Thank you. my ex-employer, City, and we thanked. I didn't purposely try to forget that, but anyway. But also we thank all the volunteers that came out today, and for the folks that were around. Can I have all of the teams of moderator, scorekeeper, and timekeeper, and those folks? Can you come on up for us? Can you come on up for us? We have something a little special for you too. See who else is all here, still here. There we go. Somebody being shy. And yeah. Just as a token of our appreciation, Tamika has an envelope for each and every one of you.
You are a judge. We're presenting you with voting tickets.
Oh, all right.
Judges.
Here's the judges.
Judge.
Raise your hand.
Judge.
For moderator, we're presenting you with AMF voting passes.
Moderators, that's you. You got 2 moderators. And timekeeper, scorekeeper.
Key drives, as well as scorekeepers, key drives.
All right. Well, thank you guys for helping us out.
Did you know verbal abuse damages a child for a lifetime?
I heard that children who are verbally abused grow up to abuse their own children.
Someone told me that verbal abuse is the gateway to physical and sexual abuse.
When you verbally abuse a family member, you damage the entire family.
What's wrong with you? Can't you do anything? Are you stupid?
I don't need any woman telling me what to do. You listen to me. Shut up.
Of course he called me stupid.
You would probably be shocked if you heard this coming from children playing house.
And I just asked you to clean your room. Your sister cleaned her room. What are you, stupid?
Shut up, woman. You understand me?
So why aren't we shocked when we hear adults saying things like this?
Sadly, unlike physical abuse, with verbal abuse, sometimes people don't recognize that it is in fact abusive behavior, that it's unwarranted behavior, and that it's damaging behavior.
We normalize it. Society normalizes it.
Verbal abuse plays a major part in the cycle of violence. Continuous verbal battering and berating slowly chips away at a person's self-esteem.
Self-esteem tells us that we are a human being and that we deserve to be treated in certain ways, certain basic ways, with kindness and with respect and with gentleness and with passion.
According to Dr. Kathleen Heide, the loss of self-esteem sets up a person for a lifetime of poor choices.
So they may start to numb these bad feelings with food, with alcohol, with drugs. So in a way what they're doing is using substances to self-medicate.
No matter how desensitized our society has become to the damaging effects of verbal abuse on a child or on a family member, the long-term results can be debilitating.
They have low-end jobs, they have relationship addiction where they have serial monogamy and maybe not monogamy. It's just unsuccessful. Their life is unsuccessful.
They may in addition seek out relationships, not on a deliberate level, but of people who reinforce that kind of treatment. And so it can perpetuate an abusive cycle.
If the verbal abuse escalates and a child witnesses physical violence against a parent, the statistics are high that they, in return, will become abusers or will be abused.
Either they'll become the perpetrator or they'll become the submissive, invisible person that repeats.
Boys who see physical violence being used against a parent have a 77% chance of becoming an abuser. For girls, it is as high as 68%. Linda Oberhaus, Executive Director of the Spring of Tampa Bay, fully understands the repercussions of verbal abuse and the role it plays in the cycle of violence. The Spring's newest awareness campaign deals with this very issue. For Oberhaus, letting women and men know about the damaging effects of verbal abuse is key.
Oftentimes victims, they don't identify themselves as being in a domestic violence situation if they're not physically hurt.
It began with harsh words, then insults, an angry argument, then a punch or a twist of the arm. What will it be next time? Will you survive a next time?
When we did the campaign, we really wanted to get the message out to victims in the community that a person doesn't necessarily have to be physically battered to feel like she's in fear of her life or feel like she needs shelter.
For most clients at the Spring, the verbal abuse had already escalated into physical violence and police intervention. It's an all too common scenario for police and other law enforcement officers. Tampa has the second highest incidence of domestic violence in the state of Florida.
Typically in these domestic violence situations, they will be removed from their family, they're removed from any financial support, so they feel like they have nothing. And they get to the point where through not only the physical abuse, but the verbal abuse that precipitates it, that's where they just have a feeling that they're completely worthless and they deserve what they're getting.
Chief Castor remembers the many trips she and fellow officers made to deliver domestic violence victims to safety at the Spring.
And they will tell you that it saved their life. They're at the end of their rope.
For any person in need of safety and shelter from an abusive relationship, there is a place to turn: the Spring of Tampa Bay.
Our mission at the Spring is to prevent, to protect, and to change. And that's to prevent domestic violence, to protect victims, and to promote change in lives, families, and communities. And essentially, what we try to do first and foremost is to get families safe, and then secondly, to give back to them whatever has been taken from them. They may have lost their job, they may have lost their children, they may have lost their self-esteem, they may have lost their home. There are a number of things that these victims have lost, and the Spring is just really an avenue for them to restore all of those things that they've lost as a result of the violence.
Natalia had never heard of the Spring prior to calling the police to report that her husband had physically abused her in front of her infant daughter.
My baby gets sick. At night, about 10 o'clock, I asked him to go to the hospital in the emergency room. And he started hitting me on my head while I was holding my baby.
As they do with so many victims, the police sent Natalia to the Spring to begin her journey to freedom. Natalia took full advantage of the continuum of the Spring services available to her. Thanks to the Spring, she now lives comfortably with her baby daughter in transitional housing provided at low cost to her as she pursues her education. Her daughter is also cared for during the day there while Natalia attends school. For Natalia, the Spring has allowed her to take back her life.
I don't have any family here, no close friends. I didn't have place to go. I was on the street if there is no place like Spring.
The 24-hour crisis line, 247-SAFE, is often the first step that victims take on their road to recovery. At that point, they may seek refuge at the Spring's emergency shelter. 2/3 of shelter residents are children, which is why it is so essential that the cycle of violence be broken for them too. The Spring offers programs in the schools and the community to that effect. The Spring's Juvenile Intervention Program is for young people between the ages of 10 and 17. Love Shouldn't Hurt focuses on prevention in local middle, and high schools so that students learn about acceptable behavior in dating relationships.
Look, stop, okay?
The Spring also actively participates in preventing young people from becoming abusers themselves. The Spring's Peace in Action program provides intervention to juvenile offenders who oftentimes have been victims of abuse themselves. The Spring's priority is to break the cycle of violence, so critical with these young people who have already been arrested and labeled as abusers. The Spring is sensitive to the enormity of breaking the cycle of violence and recognizes the need for support during this transition. It offers outreach programs in Tampa and Plant City, where groups meet weekly in English and Spanish. In this supportive environment, women work together toward empowerment, breaking the cycle of violence and making good choices for themselves and their families. The reality of domestic violence in Hillsborough County is not a pretty picture. This county has the second highest rate of domestic violence in Florida and the highest rate for juvenile offenders. Thus, the Spring has a monumental challenge, one it cannot do without community support.
I think it's important for the community to recognize that even though the Spring does incredible work, the Spring couldn't operate without the financial support of the community. We rely heavily on community support. About half of our income comes from individuals in the community who support our mission here at the Spring. And so without that, the program really wouldn't be possible, and we just wouldn't have a safe place for victims to be here in Hillsborough County. The Spring's the only certified domestic violence center in this county, providing a safe haven for victims.
We are all in this together because it really does take a community to break the vicious cycle of abuse. Love should never hurt. We've made great strides, but there is still so much work to be done. But the Spring cannot do it alone. Do your part to break this cycle by continuing to care, by supporting the Spring of Tampa Bay.